welcome to my new video on prompt and tokens in 5 minutes. Now, when we talk about word or prompts, the reality is we are dealing with something called tokens. So, in real world prompts, which can be my questions or request to the LLMs. Now, this is often made up of a system and user prompt, but think of the user prompt as the user types in the system prompt when dealing with the large language models. Maybe it's gonna direct to have a certain way to respond in a certain tone, so that helps guide how the LLM would respond. LLMs don't actually work on words, they work on tokens. Now, a token may represent a word or it may represent part of the word. It may represent certain symbol. For example, we deal with code a lot, we can actually see how it works in background. Token is actually a word that we type in usually, but sometimes it takes in more than one words. GPT-4, which is very popular large language model, has a vocabulary of about 10 lakh unique tokens. Many of them are code characters, and there could be parts of multiple language word as well. This is twice of the size of the vocabulary that GPT-3 had earlier. The number of tokens has lot of implications on the amount of memory and the processing that will be required for that respective LLM. If you think about it supports certain number of inputs tokens, then it has to understand the relationship between each of them. There is massive in-memory matrix that has to be created, and then well, how many tokens does it supports as the output. Now, large language model understand tokens, so we will need to understand what exactly the token works, and it has to be able to track what it's doing with those. And so it is very common that you will see token limits for that input and output. Sometimes a large language model will have a number at the end of it, example 16k, 32k, etc., which is the number of output tokens it supports, and maybe it supports 8,000 input tokens. The more token it supports for the input, the more information we can send it. The more tokens it supports for the output, well the amount it can output. And very often there will also be pricing based on the number of tokens I send it and based on the number of tokens it generates. So we always want to be very efficient when thinking about data I send to the size and the output I want it to generate. That's all for these tokens in a very short